Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another video and another episode of Added Time, answering your guys' questions that you kindly submitted. Let's get into it because there's quite a few to get through. So firstly here, Harris asks, Sancho or Ozyman, who will be the most effective purchase for Chelsea's long-term prospect? I'd probably say Jadon Sancho. I think he'll be a player that I think is going to be massive in especially European football for a number of years. Osimhen only really has, one good year at the moment, so I'd say maybe Sancho probably. Simon asks, when everyone is fit, what is Chelsea's strongest team? That's a difficult question. So difficult because it's been so unpredictable this year with Lampard. I'd probably say Kepa in goal. I think Reece James at right back. I think out of the current centre-backs, I think I've said this before, I think that Zuma and Tomori, I think, have probably been the best centre-back partnership this year, but Rudiger could feature within there as well. Marcos Alonso, I think, at left back. Midfield three of Jorginho, Kovacic. That once again, it's really difficult because, I think that obviously N'Golo Kante, world-class player, but, Mason Mount's played well. I probably put Ruben in there because Ruben's my favourite player in the current squad. I think Willian, has been a big player for Chelsea this season, even if this is going to be his last one. Up top, I'd still go with Tammy as our top goal scorer, and I think I put Christian Pulisic at left wing. So that's my team for you. Jonathan asks, what do you think will be Matson's role next season, alone or occasionally used as part of the first team squad? Good question. It's tough to know. I think a lot depends on Emerson and Alonso. If both are sold, I think Matson will be kept at Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea will go out there and sign two new left backs. Yes, you could argue that Dave can play at left back as a backup option, of course, but I think Frank would still like to have two natural left backs there, and I think that's better for the squad. I feel that if one of Alonso or Emerson stays and we get a new left back, I just think it's fair on Matson to get a loan move somewhere because he's going to need more development, more minutes. Tom asks, Tellez or Gramado for left back transfer target? Pretty simple for me, Alex Gramado. I'd love to see Chelsea sign Alex Gramado. I think he is probably the best one you could get, and I think if Chelsea are going to really invest a lot of money in that area, I personally think Alex Gramado. I just think, look at Alex Gramado, not only the talent he has, but the numbers, the raw numbers, puts him up there with some of the best left backs currently in world football, and his age as well, I think is perfect for what Chelsea are looking for. Nasri asks, will football ever come back to normal? That is a massive question. Hopefully, if you're referring to normal as in fans will eventually get back into the stadium, I think yes. I think what's going to be interesting, not only in terms of football, but the world, how we deal with post-COVID world, post-lockdown world, basically, and restrictions that are put in. Not only in terms of just health-wise, but transfers. Will transfers ever be the same again? Will we get to that extortionate rates of transfer fees that we were seeing rising and rising? Will that stop now, or will we have a little bit of a break and then we'll go right back to where we were? I think it will get back to some sort of normal life, if you'd say that. But I definitely think there are going to be some things that have changed post-lockdown and post-COVID and post this break of football, because I think football as a business, and I think just as the world, needs to understand and appreciate that. So if we ever get back into this situation again, it isn't as devastating. Philip asks, who gets the number 10 and 11 shirts next season if Willian and Pedro leave? I think I answered this a few weeks back about the number 10 shirt. I think Christian Pulisic. Number 11 could go to Ziyech. It could go to Callum Hudson-ODOI. I'm not entirely sure. I think that Hudson-ODOI will get one of those numbers eventually at Chelsea. Mezam asks, past Chelsea tactics versus current Chelsea tactics, differences, similarities, and all that stuff. What's interesting is how Chelsea now are transitioning from a very much a counter-attacking team that we saw a lot under Jose Mourinho, pretty much all the way up to Antonio Conte. Of course, there are variations in the way those managers set up Chelsea. Ancelotti's Chelsea was probably the most attacking Chelsea team really in a number of years. The amount of goals we scored. So I don't think you could call that a defensive team in any way. But I think now what you're looking at in general is how both Sarri and I think in a sense Lampard are moving in a more possession-based style of football. Chelsea are a team now much more used to having 50 to 60% possession in a game. I'm sure you could go back and look at stats when Chelsea play a lot of games with the level of opposition, but now Chelsea are much more a team used to having the ball, most used to controlling possession, playing out from the back, using a goalkeeper in that fashion. That's a lot different to what Thibaut Courtois used to be and Petr Cech used to be to what Kepa is now. And I think that adjustment clearly had some problems, not only with the way it worked on the pitch, but the fans as well dealing with that. And I think it's going to be something you're going to see moving forward, just because of the modern game now becoming, I think, more progressive, more attacking. Players like Billy Gilmore, I think, shows you sort of the new style of midfielder. And I think Kovacic, Jorginho, players that I've said on this channel before, I think you would not have seen at Chelsea 5 years ago, but you are now. So I think it's been interesting. I think for me, fundamentally, it's what's going to be more effective for Chelsea on the pitch. And I think being more progressive and attacking, as we see currently, is more successful in world football. El Chelsea asks, is there one player that we haven't been linked with at all that you think we could get for a good price and could solve one of our situations very nicely? Also, keep up the good work. Thank you for that. One player that we haven't been linked with. I mean, Gramado, obviously I've already answered a question on Gramado. I would say Gramado because we really haven't been linked with him at all. Nothing concrete. I'd say that's probably top of my list because left back is top of my list in the summer for Chelsea. And if this summer's going to be really tricky and you can only buy a couple players, I think Gramado should be top of that list. I probably will make a video soon about players who I would love to see Chelsea sign. So not basing it off of links in the media, just based on my personal preference, players that I love watching who are not Chelsea players who I think would be brilliant for Chelsea. I'll probably make a video on that, so not to go too in depth on this question, but I'll say Gramado once again because I think he's a brilliant player. I know we have a lot of midfielders, but do you think Pjanic has a future at Chelsea? I think it's unlikely. I think based on just the number of midfielders Chelsea have, I just can't see him coming back to Chelsea. I think, he's had a great season with Atalanta. I think that'd probably be made into a permanent move. He may move somewhere else. I don't see where he fits in, and I think Lampard will want to also not only look at midfielders he can bring into Chelsea, but also young players as well. We look at the next generation, Tino Anjorin, Conor Gallagher, Mason Mount now playing in the first team, Loftus-Cheek. I just can't see where Pjanic, as good of a player as he is, will fit in at Chelsea. And last question from Spyro asks, if you could bring back a past player to play for the current Chelsea team, who would it be and why? I think it'd be very easy to say Frank Lampard. So I won't say Frank Lampard. I would say Diego Costa. I think that another one of my favourite players. I think in terms of just the mentality Costa had and the level he brought to Chelsea's forward line, I think has been missed for a number of years now. I think you could say similar about Drogba, but especially Costa, his movement. And I think I could wonder what Costa could do under Lampard currently, and the service from Jorginho, the service from Mateo Kovacic. I understand the volatile nature of Diego Costa, but I think Tammy Abraham would learn a lot off of Costa. I'd love to see those two play up top. But Costa, for me, I think was a brilliant player, and it's such a shame he didn't spend more time at Chelsea. And it only lasted, 3 seasons? So I'm going to go with Costa on this question. So that is it for this edition of Added Time. Thank you guys so much for the questions you submitted. Once again, apologies to those I couldn't get to, but as I say, every week on a Monday, answer your guys' questions. So if I didn't answer them next week, submit them again, and hopefully they'll be included. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.